Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me already, my name is Evangelina Rattray. I'm a 17-year-old author, and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about misrepresentation in the publishing industry and just Black authors and Black stories as a whole. So I'm just going to address some common arguments before I get into this, because I want to make sure that you as a watcher and a listener can understand what I'm saying to its full degree. And just know I am aware of these things that you may be thinking in contrary to what I say, but that doesn't make any of this any less true. So first I want to talk about, yes, most of this stuff does apply to all people of color, not just Black people. The only reason I'm talking about Black people is because it's more personal to me. I have experience with struggling not only in this industry, but just in life with the identity I carry. And yeah, I just feel like it's more accurate for me to speak on this from my perspective, and also just the way, especially in the US, Black people have been marginalized. Just contextualizes everything that I'm about to say in this video. And then so the next thing you might be wondering is, why should Black people have more representation if Black people only make up 13% of the United States? My problem is that people can consume media from all ranges. You don't have to be white to read a white story. You don't have to be Black to read a Black story. So why is it that Black community has to read the white books and then the white community doesn't have to read the Black authored books? We should be more free with everything that we're consuming. And the publishing industry is not reflective of the things that are progressing in the United States and really around the world. So I'm not saying, oh, I'm never going to read a book by a white author ever again. I'm currently reading a book by a white author. I'm not trying to victimize anybody or make it feel like we absolutely can't read any other books. No, this is just about our opportunities in this industry that's very, very competitive and hard to deal with. So yeah, first thing I'm going to talk about is misrepresentation before I get into all of the publishing stuff. So the misrepresentation I specifically want to discuss is stereotype. Some are good, some are bad. Most cases in the Black community, the stereotypes are bad, and they're typically depicting Black people as what you consider ghetto, which I actually hate that word. The other ones would be Black people are not typically represented as the main character, usually a side character, whether that's for comedic relief or to be a mom, caretaker type thing. Just if you're writing a YA book, and this is going to be a lot of YA for me because that is what I write and what I consume the most, which is young adult if you don't already know. And why do we need our Black characters who are 16 to be acting like the mother of the white protagonist? I don't really understand that. There are also stereotypes super nerdy or aggressive or loud, and those ones really carry on to actual life, real life itself too. And it's even more prominent in the publishing industry and just in the book world than you would think. So my point with all of this is mostly just, let's have Black people just be whoever they want to be. Because I know I personally don't fit into a lot of stereotypes. I know other Black people who don't fit into these stereotypes. Black people can be whatever, just like anybody else, just like any other race, any other ethnicity. We're all capable of everything, and I think our media should reflect that. So the next thing I'm going to get into is the books that are published by Black authors. Not to say that there aren't any that are unique. I'm actually gonna pull a couple of those right now for myself because there are some. Okay, I have more, but I just want to pull my favorite ones. So these two I think are perfect examples of YA done well. This is Love Radio by Ebony Liddell. This has been one of my favorite books literally since it came out. It's so good. It's your typical love story, typical high school love story, senior year, figuring out college, everything, and it doesn't erase their Black identity. There are multiple scenes that showcase their families, and I just love this book so much. And then the second one I want to talk about is Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon, and this book is really good too. This is magical realism, so it has fantasy elements in it, but it's still contemporary, and I think that is really cool just to see Black people in other genres than just plain contemporary. So those two are really good examples. And then one that I want to say does kind of fit in stereotypes, but it is my favorite book of all time, is Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Iyimide. And this book is just so good. It obviously, if you've read the book, you know that there's racism in this book and everything, but the characters really don't defy the stereotypes. It's the school that does. So I think this is a really good representation of like defying what society has predetermined for you. And yeah, so these are like my 3 favorite YA books by Black authors. These are prime examples of being your own person despite what society tells you. And yeah, that's the other thing, is with Ace of Spades, it does show Black struggle. And that's another one of our stereotypes, is Black people are typically shown as like struggling, kind of similar to just like civil rights movement, having segregation and everything. And then even prior to that with slavery and everything in the US, we've kind of always shown Black people as like people who constantly have to deal with bad situations, hardships, and everything. And while that is part of life for everyone, that shouldn't be all that we're publishing for Black authors. And a lot of the times, those books, not these ones that I'm showing you, but a lot of the times books that do showcase Black characters and they are by Black authors, especially like 50 years ago, they depicted Black people in like a victimized way, and then they kind of like solved their problems to make white people feel better about what they've done in the past, and all of the you know, thoughtless treatment and everything. So yeah, showing Black people in a way that makes white people feel better about what they've done. Like historically, obviously not like you see a white person walking on the street and they were a slave owner, like that's not how it works. Okay, I just want to say really quick that a lot of people are probably going to be like, oh, it was my ancestors that committed all these things, like it wasn't me. But things that your ancestors did are still impacting millions of people now. So let that sink in. Like, was I a slave? No. Did I experience segregation? No. Am I seeing the repercussions of that? Yes. Showing things to like serve as reparations is not helpful, because we're not progressing. We're just focusing on the struggles instead of the joy and the hope that there is in this world regarding the Black community and everything. So that's a very large part of Black people in the publishing industry, because a lot of times publishers and even agents don't want to see diverse stories if they're not showing the bad parts of those. Can we have the conflict just be that someone had a falling out with their friend or they broke up with their boyfriend? Like, it doesn't have to be motivated by racial history, and I feel like we've moved past that, so our books should as well, and people should be more open to reading your regular old rom-com like 10 Things I Hate About You, 27 Dresses, just with Black characters, because it helps you see people in a different light rather than just like struggling people who are always trying to make it in this world but have the odds stacked against them. So for all of these reasons, Black authors have recently been seeking out books by BIPOC or LGBTQ authors because they want more diversity in the publishing industry, and they are making strides towards this. But some authors or aspiring authors or whatever have issues with this because they are white, cis, straight people, whether you're male or female, because they feel like, oh, nobody wants my book because I'm white. But I promise you, there is someone to publish your book. There are just a lot of people looking for diversity right now because it's seriously lacking. Yeah, we're not saying your books are bad. We're not saying you shouldn't be a writer, you shouldn't try. Everybody has someone out there who is going to support them and help them get to the point that they want to reach. The diversity that agents are looking for is actually a good thing, and it's not going to be like this forever. It's just until we reach even like somewhere close. Like right now we have, it's 80% of traditionally published books are by white authors, and that's crazy to me. That's insane, considering that's 80% just white. Only 20% of all the other races. So you have Asian, Black, Pacific Islander, and then we have like all the ethnicities like Hispanic, Latino, all of that stuff. They all fit into that little 20%. So we need to change that because that's nowhere near equal. And then also, not all Black stories have to be political. This is another thing that strays the publishing industry away from publishing Black authors specifically in young adult, middle grade children's spaces is they're like, oh, if you show Black people, like, that's kind of political and that's showing like support for like the left or whatever. And I've had people make these arguments in my comments, and I just really don't understand, because there are Black Republicans, there are Black Democrats, there are Black third-party supporters, there are just so many people with wide variety of beliefs. So for you to say one race and depicting their experiences in a novel is equal to supporting one side of the political spectrum is completely ignorant, and it really shows that you are trying to work around reading books by Black authors because you don't want to learn and you don't want to progress as a person because of like internalized racism. So I'm not going to get into that too much, but I just do want to say that we are not political when you're just looking at us from the outside. If we say something political, yeah, that's political. If I post something on my story, that's political, but just our community as a whole is just not. So diminishing our books and our works and everything because of that is like completely unfair. And this is why we have diversity movements and why we have DEI, and yeah, doesn't mean anybody's less qualified just because they're what an agent is seeking. It just means, hey, we're trying to make this a little bit of a better place for everybody. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the publishing industry. But I do want to talk about my goal as an author next, because you might be like, okay, you're talking about all of this, but how is anybody going to change it? How is this going to stop being an issue in the future? And that is how we get to my book. So I've written 3 books in 2 years. I'm currently working on my 4th, and before you ask, no, I'm not published. And no, I'm not going to self-publish. So I've written 3 young adult books. Contemporary romance is the first one, and then dystopian, and then contemporary like drama. And so what these entail are typical stories of teens. Yes, there's struggle, yes, there's hardship, but it's not pertaining to race. The similarities between white and Black people, the only difference is what you look like. And before you're like, oh, well, if you have the same experiences as a white character, why can't you relate to them? I can. It's just, why should I always have to look at someone who doesn't look like me and aspire to be like them when I could just have someone who has the same personality but looks like me, so I don't want to change how I look. We as a society have a tendency to look for role models, to look for how to better ourselves, and if we're not seeing ourselves in the media, we're gonna want to look like someone else. That's the point. So that's what my books do, is typical stories. So like the dystopian is like my take on Hunger Games, Maze Runner, Divergent, those types of things. My goal is to traditionally publish whenever the time is right. I don't want to publish a mediocre book. I know that my books are not the best, and I am willing to stand by that until I get one published. I've queried, I've done all the things, I've accepted over 100 rejections, and I really know that this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to make an impact on the world. I also, of course, I post on Instagram about everything. Shameless plug, go follow if you don't already. I know a lot of you come from there, but yeah, it doesn't only take one person to make this difference, but I'm trying to do the best I can. So if you guys want to support me, support a Black creative, even though I don't have any books you guys can read yet, go support me by following me on Instagram, subscribe down below, and turn on your post notifications, even though I don't post that much. This is my first post in like probably 3 months. I don't really know exactly, maybe 2. And yeah, there's always a reason behind all of this. We're trying to diversify our industry, and we're trying to make this a better place for everybody. Do your part, read books by Black authors, support Black creatives on social media, in person, wherever you can. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.